All right, so today on Delicious and Nutritious, we've got the waffle iron in the North TV studio because it's holiday time, Christmas, New Year's, breakfast, crucial. Today we're gonna be making protein waffles that are gonna be packed with fiber, packed with carbs, packed with protein, of course, and they're gonna taste great, as everything we do on this show does. So if you're ready, let's get right into it.
With that being said, let's get right into it.
So today we're making protein waffles, and they're exactly as you would expect. They're gonna be loaded with protein, they're gonna be loaded with carbs from our flour, and we're also gonna have a ton of fiber as well from this buckwheat flour. So that's kind of the first unique part of this recipe, is rather than using all-purpose flour, we're going with buckwheat flour. It's about 140 calories per quarter cup. We're using half of a cup per waffle, which should make about one full waffle in this square Hamilton Beach waffle iron. If you have a different waffle iron, a circular one, a big one, doesn't matter. You can make them however you'd like. Just know that one serving of this is going to be about 280 calories from the flour. And this will certainly work if you want to try to make these as a pancake as well. You know, pancake waffle batters, they're pretty much exactly the same. So we're going with buckwheat flour today. We're going to get about 18 grams of fiber in one whole serving of the flour mixed with all the protein and stuff just from the buckwheat flour. Which fiber, it's going to help keep you full. Fiber, super underrated micronutrient in most people's diets. It's actually something that should be getting about 25 to 30 grams of per day. And if you're around that number, that's going to help you feel full throughout your meal. So if you're trying to maybe lower your calories and you're trying to lower the amount of food that you're eating, you want to eat foods that are high in fiber because that'll help keep you satiated. So ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, isn't banging at your door all day saying, eat, 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 eat. And there, your calories go through the roof. So look for things that are high in fiber. This buckwheat flour, super high in fiber. And also we're gonna get some, especially from the chocolate recipe with the protein that I'm using, and we'll go into the difference between the protein powders, is you also get a more filling effect from casein protein. But we'll talk about that as we go on, as we build out our batter. So we'll start with the dry ingredients. Again, we're on the buckwheat flour, 4 grams of protein per half cup. So we're getting 8 grams of protein from our half a cup of a serving, which we already have portioned out over here on our scale cam. You can see we've got 2 bowls ready because we're making 2 different flavors as well. We've got a chocolate lovers one, and we're also gonna go with a pumpkin spice because it's that time of year, fall. I love pumpkin spice. You can make this all year long too. Don't feel like this is a fall thing. I love pumpkin flavor, so do it all year round. I don't know why more places don't do that. So again, let's start with the dry ingredients. Over here, we've got our buckwheat flour already portioned out. The key to baking, if you're new to baking, if you're intimidated by baking, I was the same way. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a great baker. I'm not Claire Saffitz from Bon Appetit.
Hey everyone, I'm Claire Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen.
I don't know if she's still with Bon Appetit, but she used to be at Bon Appetit and she was like their key baker. If you ever watch Gourmet Makes on their YouTube channel, if you haven't, go watch it because it's great. I'm not an expert. I'm not French trained or anything like that in baking, but I do know the one key is rather than going by a recipe in volume, so half a cup of buckwheat flour and a teaspoon of this and whatever that, use weight. So get yourself a scale, which I think is really important anyways if you're trying to really track what you're taking in on a daily basis so you know how many calories or roughly how many calories you're eating in a day. So you know if you stay in that calorie deficit, you're gonna lose weight. So that's another higher end topic that we haven't really got too much in the show, but you wanna burn more calories than you're taking in a day if you want to lose weight. Getting a scale is gonna help you hold yourself accountable because you're gonna know, hey, if my portion is 4 ounces of cooked chicken, I can go and weigh my 4 ounces of cooked chicken or 150 grams of cooked chicken, however, whatever measurement you want to use. So I highly recommend going out and getting a scale to begin with, but also for baking, like I was saying, it's so good because rather than maybe your half of a scoop or your half of a cup scoop is different than somebody else's half of a scoop. And rather than having, this says a quarter of a cup, right, is 1 serving on the nutrition label, 37 grams. If I take a half a cup or a quarter cup scoop, I might have 39, 40, 50 grams if it's a heaping scoop, or if I level it off, I might have less. So I always go by weight. So each of these right now has half a cup or 74 grams of buckwheat flour in there. We're going to start with our chocolate recipe first, and the next thing we're going to add to our dry ingredient, so we're going to use this actually for the, we're going to leave this right here, we're going to use that for the pumpkin spice ones, but we're going to use this back one for our chocolate. We are going to add, let me check my recipe here in my phone, we're going to add about roughly 2 grams of baking soda, about 2 to 3 grams of baking powder, and about 1-ish gram of salt. Again, this won't really overpower the flavor. It's just gonna make those flavors pop. Salt, MSG, things like that. I know a lot of people add them to seasoned savory dishes, but as you know in baking, you wanna make sure you have those. So I already have that portioned out right here in this little bowl. This is, again, the baking soda, the baking powder, and the salt. We're just gonna toss that in. Dry ingredients go in first. Super simple. Then the next thing we're gonna do is 1 serving of our protein. Now, protein powder. Protein! I could do a whole show about protein powder and the intricacies of protein powder. There's different types of protein powder, 2 major ones. This one here is a whey protein, and this is a blend, but there's whey and there's casein are the 2 major types of protein powder that you'll see. Whey protein is a faster digesting protein. So if you want something pre or post workout, something pre that will digest quickly so it's not sitting in your stomach while you're going for a run or you're lifting weights or whatever you're doing, or you want something post workout, maybe you just lifted, you want to drive that protein into your muscles to really stimulate that muscle protein synthesis process, you want whey protein. It's going to digest in about roughly half an hour to about an hour and a half, depending on what studies you see, but quick digesting. Casein is a slower digesting protein. It's going to take about 4 hours for that to digest through your system. It's a slower release into your bloodstream, so it's going to be, you're going to get a constant drip of amino acids kind of going into your muscle and again helping that muscle protein synthesis. That's why a lot of the times you see casein protein recommended as something to have right before bed, because as you go to sleep for, let's say you're sleeping for 8 hours a day as they advise, you're in an 8-hour fasting period. And if you're somebody who wants to maybe put on muscle, you want to stay in an anabolic state, which means you are in a state where you're building muscle rather than dropping into a catabolic state where you're breaking down muscle to fuel your body. And over that 8-hour fasted period, if you don't have that constant drip of nutrients, you're going to drop into that catabolic state. Now, everybody throughout the day drops in and out of catabolism and anabolism. You want to stay in a net anabolic state if you want to put on muscle. Again, that's the Cliff Notes short version, but again, back to the key point, whey protein, fast digesting, pre-workout, post-workout, during the day, it's kind of how you should think about when you want to use whey. Casein, slower digesting, you want to have that pre-bed or before a period where you know, hey, maybe I'm going into a long business meeting, I might be in there for 2-3 hours, it might be a marathon, maybe you're going into one of the board meetings in local government and there's a heavy agenda and you might not be able to get out in time for a good dinner. Put yourself together like a whey protein shake or make one of these waffles beforehand with the whey protein, or excuse me, with the casein protein, and kind of that will help keep you full throughout the long period along with the fiber. So we've got our another long-winded tangent that we just went on about protein. Look this stuff up, by the way. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not an expert, I don't have a degree in any of this stuff. I just looked this up, I researched it, been experimenting pretty much with myself. So do what's best for you, but I can tell you from experience, those are kind of the keys to protein powder. So we have some pre-measured out protein powder. I believe we do. Maybe we don't. I thought I did. What did I do with it? Maybe I already put it in here. It's already in here. So we got the protein in here. We have our dry ingredients pretty much all set at this point. So if you were making a pancake, if you were making a waffle at this point, you would use maybe regular full-fat milk and you'd throw probably 1 egg in there. What we're going to do to save some calories, lower some fat, is we're going to substitute those out with almond milk in place of regular milk, and we're going to use egg white rather than eggs. Not going to change the taste whatsoever. If you bake a lot, look up the conversion chart for eggs to egg whites and substitute these if you want to save calories. 1 serving, 46 grams, which we're going to use 40 grams of egg whites, 25 calories. 1 whole egg, 70 to 75 calories. 1/3 of the calories by using this. Doesn't affect the taste, doesn't really change the texture whatsoever. So don't be afraid to go pick up some egg whites and use these in your baking and other cooking areas where you would use an egg, because you can save some calories and you're still getting a fair amount of protein, 5 grams of protein in one serving. And then almond milk, key point about almond milk. Unsweetened. You'll see some, there's sweetened vanilla, sweetened original, unsweetened original, unsweetened vanilla are the 4 major types. You want to go with unsweetened because, again, it'll save you calories. Rather than being 80 to 100 calories per serving for a cup, 30 calories. I got the original this morning. You can get vanilla if you want to add extra flavor, but we are going to add vanilla, imitation vanilla flavoring. But unsweetened almond milk, again, if you're using it for baking, if you're a big cereal eater, I love cereal, use almond milk unsweetened. 1 cup is more than enough. 30 calories, that's like nothing. So let's jump over to Scale Cam over here. We'll throw our dry ingredients on the scale. You can't see what I'm seeing, but we're at 0 grams, and we're going to throw in, going off my notes here, 180 grams of almond milk, which is like 3/4 of a cup-ish. 240 milliliters is 1 cup. A milliliter is about even to a gram, so 240 grams in 1 cup. 180 grams is like 3/4 of a cup, whatever. But again, use grams. If you don't have a scale, like 3/4 of a cup will work, as I'm making a mess. I was telling my cameraman Tim before we started filming that I'm going to ruin the top of this tablecloth before we're done with this show. Not today, all the episodes we do. So no need to be super pedantic, but I was just there. That's 181 grams. It's not going to make a difference. 1 gram, sorry. All right. I believe, if my research is correct, going back into my notes, about 40 grams of liquid egg whites is equivalent to about 1 egg if you're doing a conversion in baking. So I'm going to re-tare this, which tearing just resets this to 0 with all the ingredients still in there, which is a very useful thing so you don't have to do the math. I would have had to do 180 plus 40, which for you at home is probably easy. For me on camera, or for me not on camera, is difficult because math is hard. So we're just going to throw in 40 grams of egg whites. 38, 39, and that's like 40. Now, if you want to get crazy, or if you don't have chocolate, this is chocolate mocha protein flavor. This is delicious. I'm not pumping any brand. You can use whatever brand you like, whatever you can get your hands on. Whey, casein, this is a whey casein blend. Do whatever you want. Just know that casein doesn't cook as well as whey does when you're baking things. Whey, it'll be a denser waffle. Casein, it's going to be a little runnier, and you might have to leave it in the waffle maker for longer. I highly recommend 50% whey, 50% casein if you can. I think that texture ends up coming out pretty perfect, but for baking purposes, I would certainly lean in towards either 50-50 whey and casein or 100% whey, just so you don't have a runny mess in your waffle maker and things come together very quickly. Because once we get to the cooking part, this thing cooks up really, really quick. So a couple more flavor elements, a couple more dry ingredients that I forgot to add in the dry ingredient process. We're going to add some stevia. If you don't want to use artificial sweetener and you really want to use sugar, if you're not all about the artificial sweeteners, go ahead and use sugar. Again, you're adding calories. Remember, a stevia packet, a Splenda packet, they say 0 calories on the label, not 0 calories. I know that these cooking sprays say that they're 0 calorie. In the United States, if something is under 5 calories, they can round it down to 0. And that's something to keep in mind, that anytime you see 0 calories, it's not actually 0 calories. In the United States, if a serving size is under 5 calories, they can round it down to 0. So there's probably 4 calories in each of these packets. So just remember that. So I do about, 3 packets is good. You don't need a ton. We're getting some sweetness from the protein powder. We're gonna get some more sweetness from a couple other elements as well. So we're going to throw in 3 of those packets, stevia packets. And again, I use stevia over Splenda. There's no specific reason kind of why. You can choose whichever one you like the taste of best. I have a couple reasons why I like stevia a little more, unrelated to kind of just for my personal health reasons more than anything else. imitation vanilla syrup. This stuff's was like $1. You don't have to buy. You can buy vanilla extract and pay $9 for a tiny little thing if you want. We've got so much flavor in here. This is just for that little extra added depth. I'm gonna do just use the cap. This is like a teaspoon-ish, I don't know. You can do whatever you want. If you don't wanna add this, you don't have to. If you wanna add some other flavor extract, almond or mint or whatever, go ahead. There's no rules. Do what you want. Make these things your own. Again, one of the tenets of the show that these recipes are just a framework for you to work off. Do what's best for you. Do what you like. Do what you're going to enjoy, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's gonna have to eat this. And if you're trying to make diet and lifestyle changes or save some calories here and there, it's gotta taste good to you, or what's the point of doing it? You're not gonna stick to it. So again, these are all, at this point, pretty optional. We've got some cocoa powder as well. I love this special dark cocoa powder for sweets that I make when I bake, when I make cream of rice or whatever, or cream of wheat, or oatmeal. I'll throw in some cocoa powder because this special dark has such a strong chocolate flavor. It just makes anything taste super chocolatey, again, without adding a ton of calories. You're adding about 10 calories by adding 5 grams. And 5 grams of this stuff is more than enough to make anything taste extra rich and extra chocolatey. So let's just get the 5 grams in there. And again, we're weighing this out. That's about 3 grams. Again, this is a chocolate lover's delight. So if you're a big chocolate fan and you want something that's not going to break the bank calorie-wise and is going to be filling, this is the recipe for you. Let's throw this back here. Next thing we're going to add, I've got some sugar-free chocolate chips. You can use regular chocolate chips. This is about 60 calories for 15 grams. Regular sugar chocolate chips will be like 75 or 80, so it's not like a huge difference. But if you want to save some calories and you don't want to maybe eat the sugar, again, that's up to you either way. You can totally use regular sugar ones. I actually sometimes like to get the mini morsels because there's more chocolate, more individual pieces in 15 grams than the bigger ones. Like these are regular size. So they're more spread out in the batter and they'll be more spread out in the waffle. But we've got 15 grams pre-measured. We're just going to toss that in there. So we are moving along nicely. And then our last ingredient before we mix this thing together and fire up the waffle maker is we've got some Walmart brand sugar-free chocolate syrup. 30 grams of this, which is a lot, 10 calories. Love this stuff. Again, cream of wheat, cream of rice, oatmeal. In these waffles, I'll put it on Greek yogurt. I'll put it on, if I get light ice cream, I'll throw it on there. This stuff is a lifesaver. It's got great chocolate flavor. You can use a ton of it for not a lot of calories as well. 10 calories. I'm gonna start, because we've got a lot of cocoa powder in there, this is a strong flavor. I'm gonna use like 15 grams, which is like 1 tablespoon. So let me get this in here. And again, this will just kind of help with the richness of the batter. 13, 14, 15, perfect. And now, as you would expect at this point, we're just going to mix this batter together till it comes together. So we have all of our ingredients in there now. And we're going to give this a nice blend. And again, this should, in theory, the last time I made these, should make enough to fill the waffle maker that I have, which makes like 4 square waffles or 1 big waffle. And calorie-wise on this recipe, we're going to be in the ballpark of like 580 calories to 600 for one of these. We're going to get about 40 grams of protein. The carb numbers through the roof. If you want carb, if you want the energy, this is a great carb meal to have. And again, carbs aren't your enemy. They really aren't when you think about it. If you're active, if you move around, if you're using up the glycogen in your muscle, which is what carbohydrates really help provide, having carbs in your diet is not the biggest thing. You just got to make sure, if you're trying to lose weight, and again, not a doctor, not a nutritionist, keep your calories burnt more than the calories that you're taking in. So find low calorie alternatives to the things that you like. And that's what we're trying to do on this show. So we've got our batter blended up. Don't have to go too crazy. I know a lot of people talk about pancake and waffle batters is that you don't want it to be super runny. You kind of still want it to have some clumpage. And at this point, again, if you wanted to make this as a pancake, get your griddle, get your pan, heat it up, hit it with your cooking spray, throw this on, flip it when the bubbles form, and you've got yourself a chocolate pancake. I like waffles. I have a waffle iron. I like to use it. So we're going to come over to our waffle cam. Is that on? But you can see this batter is slightly loose, but it's got some substance to it. You can see some smoke coming off, so we're definitely getting warm. While we have a minute, I guess this is not a bad time to kind of, oh, we're ready to go. But not a bad time to update, to kind of give you, again, more back to protein powder. I know some of you are like, stop talking about protein powder. I don't care that much. For the chocolate one, you can use vanilla protein. You're using not only, if you're using the cocoa powder and the chocolate syrup, you're gonna get more than enough chocolate flavor if you just use a regular vanilla protein powder. I personally like to buy vanilla in bulk because I find it easier to flavor vanilla rather than flavoring chocolate. Like, you can make vanilla taste like chocolate by adding cocoa powder or whatever chocolate flavor, adding chocolate chips. It's hard, you can't really make chocolate taste like vanilla. So feel free to use vanilla if you want to do that. If not, get your chocolate protein. You can use it for this. All right, let's go to waffle iron cam. This thing sizzling. Olive oil spray. You can use whatever cooking spray you want. Again, I like olive oil just because it's a decent fat source. And this actually is extra virgin olive oil in here with some other things that don't make it clump up and make it easier to spray. Again, it says 0 calories, but that's for a quarter-second spray. And again, 0 calories on the label does not mean 0 calories. More than likely it means it's like 4-ish calories. Again, we can round down. In other countries, you can't. You have to actually put the exact amount of calories that something is on the label. So, a light spray on both sides. Again, I don't know, maybe I added 10, 15, 20 calories, something like that with those sprays. I didn't go crazy. I'm gonna get my rubber spatula, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour this in the middle. I'm not gonna put it all because I don't really want this to overflow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pour in the middle and just let it run towards the edges. And it's sizzling because it's hot. And so we're just gonna kind of get a good amount in there. Scoop that off so this doesn't run too much. And then I'm just gonna help this out into the corners, because you'd like a nice picturesque square waffle at the end of the process. I think that's kind of what we're all going for. Again, if you have a circle waffle maker or a smaller one, you can do it in batches. You can make a big circular one if you want. I got this square one, I like it. It works really well. And kind of that's the way that I go. But again, look at how big this waffle is. And I know that it's one waffle, and I said it's like, 500 plus calories. You're getting a ton of macronutrients in here though. And this thing is so filling. I am a hard person to make feel full, and I can eat about half of this, and that's when I really start to feel like, okay, from this point forward, I'm kind of forcing the rest of this down. So you could certainly make this for 2 people, cut this in half. If you want to throw some Greek yogurt on top, you can. If you want to go to the store and get some light ice cream, maybe some Halo Top or something like that, and really make it a decadent dessert, go right ahead. I've done it before, and I'll certainly do it again. And again, if you're splitting this waffle in half, you're going to get a huge ice cream covered chocolate waffle for like a couple hundred calories, which is crazy. So this is going to overflow, but we're past the point of no return at this point. So let's just get this into the corners. And these things happen, it's gonna overflow, it's hard to know. And then you can see, or maybe you can't see, I don't know what you can and can't see, but the bottom of this is cooking already. So we've got our waffle in here, and all we're gonna do now, very technical, close it, lock it, check the sides. Not a lot of overflow.
Your Mac friend, Brent Rambo.
So this, I'm not gonna check this. Let me get my Fitbit out and my Fitbit timer. Again, keep this on your wrist, it'll buzz. If you don't have a smartwatch, you can just use your phone, or you can use your oven timer. If you don't have an oven timer and you have another timer, use whatever you want. Look at the clock, do whatever it takes, but 2.5, 3-ish minutes, and this thing should be pretty close to done. And then we'll pull this thing off. We'll throw some sugar-free syrup on there, and that'll be that.
A few minutes later.
This has never happened before, but it's attached to the top, so I'm gonna hold on here. We gotta do a little bit of work to get this thing off the top. I didn't spray the top enough. As you can see, the waffle is cooked. It's up here. This is hot. I'm gonna unplug this because this doesn't have an on-off switch. And we are going to very gently and delicately try and extract this. Hold on. Oh no, this is not gonna look, well, we'll flip it over to the side that looks pretty for the camera. Hold on. Yes! Boom! Waffle, chocolate. Flip it over to the good side. Boom. Look at the size of this thing. Look at this. Let me stop my watch from buzzing. Look at the size of this thing. This is my head for comparison. This is a big bowl. This thing is huge. Tim, cameraman, big waffle. This thing is so filling. All right, now at this point, like I said, sugar-free syrup, 15 calories for like 30 grams of this stuff, which is a lot of syrup. You definitely don't need that much. So you're adding a negligible amount of calories on top there. You've got a waffle and syrup. Like I said, you want to get crazy and maybe you've got a high calorie day or you're having a little bit of a cheat meal. Scoop some Halo Top or Nick's light ice cream on there. Vanilla goes great with this. The cherry Nick's would go really well with this chocolate one as well. But today, I'm going to keep it super simple for this chocolate one, and I'm going to open up the syrup, which I didn't do before. The one thing I didn't open up. Again, this stuff I bought this morning. Again, I buy most of my stuff from Walmart. I go for where it's cheapest. Like egg whites, for example, Stop and Shop, almost $5 for a carton this size at Walmart, $3.87. You can also go to Aldi's, has cheap egg whites as well. They all taste exactly the same. It's not a high flavor ingredient, so don't feel like you're getting a substandard product. So, boom.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Put a couple drizzles of syrup on there, adding some calories, doesn't matter. Our first high protein, filling, a lot of fiber, waffle down, double chocolate, triple chocolate, quadruple chocolate, chocolate flavored protein, chocolate syrup, chocolate powder, chocolate chips. We're gonna have to dig into this thing while it's hot. So we'll be back in like a short, the magic of editing, we're gonna be back in no time and we'll do our pumpkin spice.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right. We're back. We just finished up eating the chocolate waffle. I split that with my cameraman, Tim. And look, you can email him, tscanlon@northtv.net, and ask him how filling half of one of those waffles is. He's nodding his head. We've got a whole nother one to get down. So we're going to end up eating one full waffle, half of the chocolate, and now we're going to go into pumpkin spice. Again, we're filming this the end of November. This is such a great recipe to have any time of the year. I love pumpkin. I love pumpkin spice flavored things. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving, pumpkin pie, all that. Again, this is probably going to air after Thanksgiving, but make this all year round because pumpkin is great. So we can kind of fly through this one a little bit because we've already talked about the ingredients, and our dry ingredients are going to be exactly the same. We've got our 74 grams of buckwheat flour. We've got our mix of baking powder, baking soda, salt. Again, just less than 1 gram of salt, about 3 grams of baking powder, and about 2 grams of baking soda. That's gonna go into our flour. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add 1 serving of our protein powder. Again, this is all whey, 100% whey protein. This is pumpkin spice flavored. I have this just laying around here. Actually in my office, I keep it to flavor. Again, flavor cream of rice, cream of wheat, oatmeal. You can throw this in Greek yogurt. It's actually really good in like vanilla, no-fat Greek yogurt. Super good. Walmart's, it's like 90 calories for like, I think it's like 75 or 170 grams of that, which is a decent amount. I do 2 servings. That's another story for another day. We'll eventually do that on the show, but this stuff is great. You can use vanilla because we're gonna be adding pumpkin spice and we're gonna be adding our secret weapon, canned pumpkin puree. But we've got 1 scoop of this. Again, this is like 37 grams. I don't do 1 scoop. I read how many grams 1 scoop should be equivalent to, and I measure that out because, again, we talked about it. A heaping scoop, 50, 60 grams. A lightly packed scoop might be less than 37 grams, and I want all the protein that I'm kind of laying out in my daily diet plan, because I go through, I fill out my day at each morning or the night before and say, this is what I'm having for meal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I eat 6 meals a day. You don't have to eat 6 meals a day. There's diminishing returns after eating 5, so break your meals up, eat them however you want. I just like to keep food coming into my system pretty consistently throughout the day. So we've got our dry ingredients in. We'll throw a little bit of this pumpkin spice mix in here. This is like ground cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, clove. I think I got this at Ocean State Job Lot for like 85 cents. Like they give this stuff away at Ocean State compared to like McCormick's at Stop and Shop, which is like $9. It's insane how expensive this is. So go to Ocean State, or I also believe Market Basket has this at a similar price, like around $1. I bought 5 of these. I'm never going to use them in my lifetime. Look how big this thing is. The McCormick's one is like this big. I'm not knocking McCormick's, but I'm just saying, why would you pay for 1/8 of the amount for 5 times or 6 times the amount? Doesn't make sense to me. So we're gonna throw, I don't know, just eyeball it, like a good amount. You don't have to go nuts because this is a pretty strong flavor. And we already have, for me and mine, I already have some pumpkin spice flavor in my protein. But again, if you're using vanilla, go ahead, maybe add like 3-ish grams of that onto your scale. The next thing we're gonna do, as I mentioned, the secret weapon, 100% pure pumpkin puree. So when you go to the grocery store and you go to the section where the pumpkin is kept, the pie section, the baking section, you're gonna go and you're gonna see 2 cans, 100% pumpkin puree, and you're gonna see pumpkin pie filling. Pumpkin pie filling is like 100 calories per serving compared to like 45 for 100% canned, for the 100% pureed canned stuff. The difference is there's sugar and other spices and things added into the pumpkin pie filling that's gonna add calories. We're adding artificial sweeteners. There's some artificial sweetener in the protein powder. We're gonna add a little bit of stevia as well. So get this 100% canned pumpkin. Again, I'm gonna be a broken record in this episode. I throw this in oatmeal, cream of rice, cream of wheat. I'll throw it in yogurt. I put it on top of, I've mixed this with some pumpkin spice and maybe 1 packet of sweetener, and I've thrown it on top of pumpkin pie French toast. This stuff is awesome. I almost always have a can of this in my house. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna throw about, let's go with about 80 grams of pumpkin here. And again, this is pumpkin. This is a can that I had yesterday, opened up in the office, and I actually was using this in my cream of rice throughout the day. I was doing cream of rice, water, heating it up, throwing in a pack of stevia, threw in a scoop of this protein powder, and threw in some pumpkin, blended it up with some pumpkin spice, and you've got yourself like a pumpkin pie filling cream of rice. Thumbs up. That's a later episode too. Believe me, we're gonna get it. So let's get our 80 grams of pumpkin in here. Again, this will help with the consistency of the final product as well, because we're using 100% whey. This is gonna be denser even than the last waffle that we had, which was dense and filling. So let's get our 80 grams in here. Got about 82. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna check my phone, my saved recipes. I use MyFitnessPal. You can save all your recipes and then also track, you can just import it into your daily meal plan and it has your homemade recipes, the calories and all that. And I am going to just double check how many grams that I usually throw in there. I actually usually throw in 100 grams. So you know what? We're gonna do 100. Why not? Why sell yourself short? 90, 94, let's get this up to 100. Yep, there it is. Boom. Okay, and this stuff, You want to keep it refrigerated once you open it. It'll hold for like a couple days, so try to use it as quickly as you can. Again, there's like usually 500-ish grams in one of these containers. This one's 425 grams, so if you're using like 80 or 100 grams per serving, you'll get like 4 different meals out of this. And again, one serving of this, 122 grams, 45 calories. 100 grams of that, it's a lot. And believe me, that'll add a lot of volume to your Greek yogurt, to your cream of wheat, your cream of rice, your oatmeal, whatever you're doing. Adds flavor, adds volume for low calories. What's wrong with that? So we're gonna bust out our sweetener again, our stevia. And we're gonna toss 3 packets in there again, just for that little bit of sweetness. Keep our calories low though, so we're not using sugar. I'm gonna come over here while we are almost done with our batter and get our waffle iron heated up so we don't have to do another cut. And then it's the same thing as before. It's time for the wet ingredients. 40 grams of egg whites and 180 grams of almond milk. So 40 grams of egg white going in. And if you watch these episodes as we go on, you are going to see these 2 ingredients used so frequently. Let me just get to 40. Egg whites. These things, we plow through these things at my house. I plow through these things on a daily basis because I'll eat 5 servings of this as an egg white omelet in the morning. If I'm baking, I'm using this stuff. So I buy a lot of these. It's just so useful. And again, getting it at a good price. Walmart, Aldi's cheap. Almond milk, 180 grams. Another episode upcoming, another sneak preview. I love to steam potatoes, mash them up, and use almond milk as rather than using cream or milk. And it's, again, low calorie, and it ends up making you a nice creamy bit of mashed potato. So we'll probably do that with maybe like a sauteed piece of, or not sauteed, like a cooked piece of fish or something like that on the stovetop. I've got so many ideas. I've got a ton of recipes that I want to share with you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy these and are able to make some of these things on your own and bring them into your life, and maybe there's stuff that you'll eat on a regular basis. And we're mixing up our pumpkin spice waffle mix. Set it on the last one. At this point, as soon as you mix it, if you want to make pancakes, go ahead and make pancakes with this. It will 100% work. If you want to make waffles and you've got a waffle iron, make them into waffles. If you want to bake this, I'm pretty sure you could bake this into cupcakes or something. And again, Tim, my cameraman, will tell you, this stuff is like, it ends up being like a cake. It's really not like, doesn't feel like a waffle. It feels more along the lines of like a cake, a nice like cupcake type thing. So it really is like a really good treat to have at the end of the day. And compared to a cake that you have to cook for 20 something minutes in the oven, this will cook 2 minutes real time if you've got a waffle iron, or if you're making pancakes. Pancakes cook quick too. So we're just going to keep mixing this around. We're going to wait for our waffle iron to heat up, and then we're going to throw this on. So
More moments later.
So this is heated up. Unlike the last time, I'm going to make sure I hit the top with enough of the cooking spray so it doesn't stick. Again, we're adding some calories, but not as much as if you were to just, throw a whole tablespoon of olive oil on there, which is, good healthy fats, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, but high calorie food for not a lot of volume. And that's not what I think most people should be looking for if they're trying to lose weight, or if they're trying to just stay full throughout the day on whatever their diet plan is. You want dense foods that are low calorie dense foods. Coach Greg Doucette on YouTube says that all the time.
Delicious, lower calorie, high volume, filling, delicious recipes.
And I totally believe him when he says it. You want to stay full throughout the day, or you're just going to keep eating. Your calories throughout the day are going to go up, and it's going to be hard to stay on track with your weight loss goals or your physique goals if you're taking in a ton of extra calories. So, same thing as last time. Start in the middle. Use your spatula or fork or spoon, whatever you've got, to kind of help this batter into the corners. Let's get all that kind of in here. Look at this thing. It is huge. And I'm telling you, high 500 calories, right around 600 calories. I'll have the final macros up on the screen at the end of the episode, or maybe during the episode. I haven't made a decision when I'm going to drop those in, but they'll be up there. And you might think, wow, it's a lot of calories for this thing, but look up the calories of a regular waffle this size. Go to your diner and get a waffle this size. The calories are going to be through the roof in comparison. And you're not going to feel as full. Like, you're going to feel full if you get all the other things, an egg on the side and maybe some toast or some meat or whatever. But with this thing, you can eat this alone and feel so full. So close it. Check the sides. We're overflowing a little bit on the left, but not that badly. We're going to go to my watch here. We're going to start the clock. And we'll check it in about 2.5 minutes. You can kind of hear it and you can kind of see the steam. When the steam coming off of it starts to kind of slow down a little bit and you stop hearing some of the sizzling, that's when it's like pretty much good to start to check the lid and see if you can pop the top and then pull it off. So, magic of editing. Maybe we'll do a time lapse. That isn't going to look like anything because there's not a whole lot of action on this camera, but we'll time lapse it and this thing will be ready and we'll be able to eat again. All right, so the sizzling is going down a little bit, and I think I got it wrong when I said the steam. I think the steam like picks up when it's almost done. Again, I haven't made these in a while. There was a stretch where there was like a month where I was making these every single night. Again, I'd pre-prep out my batter, and then I would just throw it on the iron before I go to bed. So what I'm gonna do, let's see. It smells good. Oh, yes! Clean release. Look at that. Can you look at this? Look at this. Pumpkin spice goodness. Let's try and just extract this thing off in one piece. Oh, this is going to be good. Smells. You got your classic pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice smell, and we're going to do a little extraction work. This is the hardest part of this whole recipe, is getting it off of this waffle iron. And then you slide it on your plate. And again, finding a plate that is big enough for this thing. Look at that. Look at this thing. Moving it the wrong direction. Look at that. Over here, this camera. Unbelievable. This thing is huge. This is no joke. This is my iPhone. This is an iPhone 11. Look at the size. One half of this is bigger than an iPhone. It's a lot of waffle, I'm telling you. Pumpkin spice, we showed you chocolate, we showed you pumpkin spice. Again, the possibilities are absolutely endless with this recipe. All you have to do is make your base, get your protein powder, your buckwheat flour, your leaveners, your salt, and then add whatever flavor floats your boat. Do what you want, have fun. Tag me on Instagram, tag me on Facebook, tag me on whatever if you make this. I want to see it. If you make it, I want to know that you do it. You can email me at jaredware@northtv.net. Delicious and nutritious. What else can I say? Another episode, another recipe in the books. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy your afternoon. I got to dig into these. I got to get ready. This is a lot of food to take down. So me and Tim are going to get to work on this thing. We'll catch you guys later. Oh, hold on. Before we go, nice little syrup pour. Let me get that on this camera too. Syrup pour. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're getting into these. See you guys later. Hope you guys try these. Have fun. And we'll be back with another episode of Delicious and Nutritious in a little bit.